Hi folks, Jonathan Wilson, TogaMan Guitar Viols. About 7 or 8 years ago, I actually did a video. It's kind of archived, kind of dated looking at this point in time. But it was on the basic installation process on the LR Bags lyric as it applies to the GuitarViol. And I'm going to go into some other details on this video. There's been the thing about these, and they're wonderful pickups, and that's why I'm using them. They're installed by a double sticky tape, something like this. This is this 3M stuff, little 3Ms there, and then the little flywheel that goes, and I'll describe that a bit, gets installed by this piece here. So that comes in this little kit that they sent along with it, and you can see they have a little adjustment, presence adjustment, so you can set it and forget it to your rig and all that sort of thing. But let me show you a little bit physically of what's going on. This time I've got a top that's not installed on the instrument, so we can kind of see what's really going on the inside, and I can give you an idea of what's really going on. So when we install it, it's basically stuck to a certain place on this bass bar on the inside, and there is a bass bar. And I can go into another conversation completely about, you know, how the sound post goes there, and the top actually moves kind of like this by when the string is kind of moved sideways following the bow. So it's kind of a pumping action. So you have a fulcrum point here, and that bass bar carries a lot of that energy. So what I've done is I put the pickup right in the direct path of that energy. So you can see it's right there, but when we look at where the bridge is, you notice that it's actually right directly under that. So we're getting the real, the real energy in the wave. And it just sounds wonderful. It's very responsive. I even engineered or designed the bass bar so that it's got a flat surface to really have a nice surface to stick that onto. And structurally it all works out. In this particular case, I'm using one of my more modern tops, but the same information applies to the spruce tops I've made in the past, which basically have this, the bar in the same place and the installation in the same place. Even on the spruce bar ones, sometimes these guys can come falling off when the adhesive on the tape fails. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit, and perhaps even a hack that we can do in that way. So this, you can see this is installed right there. I have a space right here where I've had to kind of prepare it because of the irregular surface that, the carbon fiber, the newer tops have on the inside, is that we can install it right there, this little flywheel thing. So this is the little flywheel, and again, it's got that little thing you take a screwdriver to, and you can adjust their presence, set it and forget it, but it's installed right inside there, like that. So it's a little bit different, like when you're looking at the instrument and as it assembled. Unfortunately, today you got me on the wrong day for assembled instruments, but this one here is an old prototype. You can see I'm going to be changing the top on this thing, but you'd be accessing it from the bass side there. Okay, so this one's going to be a nice one too. Just let's see, this is going to get its string up pretty soon here, and we'll put that in there. Okay. About those adhesives though, or the adhesive tape. What comes in this little kit is, it's like these little 3M tape things, kind of similar to the poster tape that you can buy at the office store, but these are a little more precision cut OEM style from LR Bags. And the little flywheel that we have, the volume adjustment basically, has one of these guys. You can see there's maybe, I think it had 2 of them on there before. Anyway, this tape is good when you install it and everything goes really well, but a little time goes by, it doesn't always age well. So I have a little hack that I propose, and that is, if the whole thing comes off and doesn't stick anymore, we can take some of this really wonderful tape it's from a company called Fast Cap. And it's a double sticky tape. It's very thin though. So, and it's very tenacious and very strong. I mean, quite literally, I can take a couple blocks of wood and take a couple strips of this and I can hold it to a belt sander and it won't come off. It's like, you know, very on there. So, but anyway, we could take little cuts of this and actually put it over the original tape, or the original, you know, I guess I put them back in here, but the original kit 3M tape, and treat the surface that way, and it'll stick on there a lot better. The other stuff is very, you know, like I said, it's very powerful tack on it. Powerful enough to stick really well for quite a while, but not so, you know, it can be pulled out and disassembled and uninstalled, if you will. So anyway, but that's what's going on with it. So if you have one of those, if you pick up your acoustic GuitarViol and the thing's rattling around in there one day, it's like, okay, yep, the adhesive failed. One thing that I do when I'm installing it, or I guess I've been doing it the last few years, it's some of the earlier years I might have just gone straight to the spruce wood bass bar. And again, that's that bridge model here. I talk about how the thing will rock like this when it's bowed. But we put the pickup right there underneath the bridge. So you can see the orientation of that. But even on this particular kind of like spruce wood, I would take a little wood glue and I'd just smear it on there like maybe 10 minutes before the installation. Just a really light coat. And that way it kind of gives it a really pure surface, and it's clean, no dusty on it, and then we stick the pickup on there. With the carbon fiber though, it's a little bit of a different deal. This stuff doesn't like having stuff stuck to it unless it's kind of part of its original, you know, saturation of epoxy resin. So there's a couple things we could do. One is one prep, and I prepped this part here, by the way, to where it's like a little smoother. It's kind of hard to see in the light, but you can see it's shiny there a little bit more. I would like layer up a little bit of super glue or epoxy. Usually if I'm trying to get it done faster, I'll go to super glue, and I'll sand it, and I'll take the accelerator and sand it. That's not always an easy option on it's doable on an assembled instrument. So if, for example, I'm reinstalling a pickup, I just kind of stick my hand in there and kind of wipe it off a little bit, and we install the pickup there, and you can see the orientation again. It's like right. So this little middle part here is directly underneath the base foot of the bridge, and of course, you know, this other part here goes in the little prepared area. But to get it to stick, sometimes giving a little bit of a treatment, like, you know, just a smear of, in this case, on the carbon fiber, I would use a little bit of a CA glue smear and just kind of stick it on there. I mean, we don't want to use the super glue to stick it on. We just want to create a nice surface first. And so I might put a little treatment on there as well. This particular top's not installed on an instrument, of course, but I just wanted to have it so you can have a decent visual aid of what's really going on. So once again, it's oriented right directly underneath, but on the bass bar itself, right there. And it's a little tricky. You know, most of us can kind of get our hands in there a little bit. I typically take these surgical hemostats, or whatever you call them, and I kind of use that, and then I kind of get it in place and put it in there. This particular one, by the way, you notice it doesn't have a battery wire on it. I removed the battery wire on this particular one because what we're doing is I was doing a phantom power mod, and that's another conversation completely, but that allows, you know, taking a stereo TRS to TRS cable. I don't know if I have any sitting out here at the moment, but anyway, and you could go to like an EMG ES918, which is a power supply you can throw on your pedal board. And that way you don't have to have a battery on board the instrument. You can also plug it into your Boss power adapter, and it would, you know, power up the instrument, so you wouldn't have to worry about the preamp battery being inside. On some of the recent 10Xs, and just because of the logistical hassles I've had in the last few years of too many vendors, too many things that can go wrong, I've kind of just limited those installations to only people who really want them. And otherwise I do a similar treatment on the inside wall of the instrument. So for installing a battery pack, and let me see if I have one of those. This. Typically, LR Bags includes one of these little really nice battery packs. It's like a Velcro thing. And you can see it's got this is the stuff we stick to the instrument inside, and then we can just pull the battery out and change the battery, so it's pretty nice. It has all these little wiry kind of things that for the techie geeky people who want to take any wires and kind of clamp them down with that. So these are pretty cool. I have a surplus of these because I did a lot of those phantom power installations where we weren't using this. Again, the same treatment though. What I generally will do is this part here that gets stuck in the sidewall. And typically I might do it in some area kind of like, you know, in the treble port, maybe down inside, right about there. And now, same problem. It's carbon fiber and it doesn't really want to stick. Even though I do put a little bit of a light stained urethane coat in there just to make it look nice. Generally though, what I'll do is I'll take some gel viscosity. I'm gonna grab it real quick. In this case, this is a Star Bond super glue that's medium viscosity, which I kind of like. And so on the tip of my glove or whatever, I would finger. We don't want to glue our finger into the thing because trust me, it'll dry like that. But what I do is in the area that I'm going to stick this on, I'll smear a little bit of that super glue. And in this case, it's like I said, the Star Bond, but any decent medium or gel thickness stuff will work. And once that stuff dries, then we could, you know, stick this over it, and generally it's probably gonna work out a lot better because that other stuff will stick to the carbon fiber a lot better. But anyway, that's a little bit of a tricky thing about that. I'm pretty sure I forgot a few things, but anyway, I wanted to give you sort of a supplemental, you know, take on the installation of the one I did several years ago, where I had a finished instrument that I was just, I was in this little, you know, bay that was in the Fillmore shop many years ago, and before I wound up here. So but the information on the video is still valid, but I wanted to give you at least a real under the hood look at what's going on and how it's installed. Anyway, so you can install this very cool pickup. It's, and there, you know, if you hear it rattling in your instrument, and it can be fixed. Again, I'm going to recommend that if it does come off, we find some of this fast cap tape, which again is very tenacious stuff, and we can kind of put a layer of that in there between the two, and you can kind of get a better grip. Anyway, as always, have an exceedingly awesome day. Stay inspired.